Chances are you've been taught so much misinformation on how the algorithm works. It's not some big bad beast that we're trying to trick or bribe or hack our way to surfacing our content onto YouTube. It's actually a lot simpler than you think. But believe it or not, its sole goal is that it wants to help your content succeed on the platform. Let's break down how.
Hey, welcome to the Video Creators Podcast presented by vidIQ. You know how you put a lot of time and energy into your YouTube channel for not nearly enough growth? Yep, we get it. We are here today to help you change that.
Hello, creators. How are you guys? It's great to see you here for another Video Creators Podcast episode brought to you by vidIQ like we do every Monday, just for you. We're hanging out, sharing more advanced growth tips and tactics, next level strategies, growing your business, helping you reach more people and change lives. I'm hanging out today with Blake and Sam, two of the YouTube strategists on our team. Hey guys.
What's up?
Heidi ho. Every week, we love to highlight a creator that we work with here at Video Creators. And this week, I met up with Brent Hughes, who's been working with us for the last couple of months, actually. And we had a conversation around his channel, which is all about restoring VWs. Here's our conversation.
We focus on hobby-related mechanical projects, helping folks find the right reasons, approach, and ways to keep their project alive. And as we say, drive their dream. I've got great people around me in my daily life. Maybe some of us can relate here. But they're not necessarily into what I do in my garage, which is pretty niche.
Yeah,
to try and keep an old Volkswagen on the road. Like who wants to do that? They're charming to see, but it's a bit of work to do that, and you kind of got to love it. And so I wanted to connect with other folks that had that same problem.
Yeah,
and I saw YouTube as a pretty cool way to do it.
Is there any things you bumped into along the way starting your channel, or any struggles you were facing?
Absolutely. There's the obvious of how long it takes to edit video. I kind of already knew that. Yeah. I had done some video editing and I thought, all right, I'm going to put out the best videos that I possibly can and put tons and tons of time into them. And I don't think I would change that. But when you look back at the last 2 weeks and you just posted this video, it's like, all right, this is fine to start. But I'm going to have to make this sustainable. To be happy with what I was putting out there, I had to put so much resource into it that, all right, I'm going to actually have to get results too. It's just not enough to put these videos out without some kind of sustainability. And so that's when what I was looking for changed a little bit. And I still like it. I want to go all in on it. And I think I'm in the midst of doing that right now. But there is going to have to be that return too, so that I have the time to do it like I want to and to really serve this audience that's coalescing around the channel.
For sure. Have you tried anything to kind of overcome, I guess, that a bit of obstacle when it comes to editing or the time factor? Or?
Sure. The big thing is mindset. I'm not looking for the barrier that's preventing me from doing it. It's all me. Like I'm the only thing that's keeping me from doing it. Like if you can find the thing that you're into, that other people are into, and all the planets align, then it's clear. The path can be clear. It's just going to take a lot of work, obviously, but just not looking for that excuse for, oh, that's why that didn't work. I'm really looking for the solutions of what I can do better to better meet the audience's needs and attract them in the first place and so on. I guess the other thing is to try stuff. Okay. And that's more to the question that you asked is probably a couple of years ago, I started trying different things that we can do on YouTube. We can do long form videos, but live streams have been around for a while and I played with that. I continued to do that at events on site. And then also I've played around a little bit with live streams with friends in this situation that you see here in kind of a studio situation. Messed around with shorts, and I found those to be awesome for discoverability, but looking for all the tools that are at my disposal so I can concoct that correct mix, that correct blend for my audience and what I have to share and how I can share it that will work best for my channel. So keep trying, I guess, is the answer.
Right, yeah.
Try stuff and keep trying.
Yeah. Have you noticed any results of like experimenting right now when it comes to like how do I try new content or optimize it best for my viewer to kind of satisfy them? Have you noticed any uptick recently doing that or?
Sure. Especially, I think my audience probably appreciates the long form videos the most. They were the most produced, and they tell me that it's enjoyable and relaxing to watch. And that's where I get probably the strongest feedback and response from folks. But as far as the core audience is concerned, they enjoy the live streams from the events.
Oh, that's awesome.
I get relatively low views compared and actually pretty low retention, but there's that core group, like the first, like almost the persona that I have in mind when I'm thinking of who am I trying to reach here. Right. Those actual people are the ones that show up for that. So I found that those are good for community, right? So shorts are good for discoverability.
Yeah.
The live event live streams and the studio style live streams are good for the core group. I like how interactive it is. That was what was missing in the long form videos, was that back and forth during the event. You can do a little bit of that if you premiere a video, but there's no beating a live stream and being able to interact in real time in the video with the people who were there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the community piece is huge. So I guess in terms, I know you've been working with us in video creators. Like, is there like a takeaway you've had so far? You're like, wow, this has been a really big light bulb moment for you. What would that might be?
Sure. I think I have a couple. One, and we talk about this about video creators and video labs, is the community that's there and the accountability that comes with it and the interaction that, like we were just talking about with live streams, with other people who are doing exactly the same thing, facing a lot of the same challenges in their own way. That's all very beneficial. A week or so ago, I was completing assignments and giving my feedback, and I got a lot of positive reinforcement out of that, which was really cool. Yeah. And I'm thinking during the whole thing, you know, I'm among giants here. I'm just trying to keep up. And that's really great. You know, if you want to get good at something, surround yourself with people who are better at it than you. That's true. I knew I was coming into that group. Side note, this is Video Labs is marketed towards folks that have medium-sized channels, 10,000 subscribers up to 1 million subscribers. I'll save you the trip to Haptic Garage. I don't have that many, but I knew I would be wading in with folks who, at least some that did. And then, of course, to be fair, some folks in my spot too. Mm-hmm. And it boosts me. It makes me try a little harder. Right. And I think that's what we mean by accountability. And that's a healthy place to be for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the support system is huge for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. And your feedback, of course, it's good to know that there's a guide there, that there's an authority figure in the group too, and everybody gets along, but it's just a good structure, and I've enjoyed that. The other thing is having strategies with a little bit more confidence than trial and error. I'd done that, and I think it was a healthy process to go through just on my own, seeing what sticks, trying this, like giving good, sincere efforts and seeing what doesn't work and what does work kind of and what could work better and so on. But that's a pretty labor intensive, long drawn out process. So I can feel it's different when I'm working towards an objective during the assignments and so on, when I know there's some confidence in the strategy. Right. The thing that, without going into the details, the thing that I'm working on right now, I'm like, I would have never thought of that. Something about meeting the suggested videos. Yeah. But there's some confidence in that strategy. It makes perfect sense to me. So now the only challenge that I'm left with is figuring out how to do it with my channel in front of my audience. Then, you know, the skill that I need to build for the long term right there is what I'm left with, and I can focus on that. So taking some of the trial and error out of the process, I think, has really been helpful.
Great. That's awesome to hear. Hey, well, awesome. Thank you so much, Brent, for your time. I really, really do appreciate having you on the podcast.
I really appreciate it. It's been great spending some time with you.
My dad, we had a VW Bug, a VW Bus, and like the little pop-up tent Westfalia, I think is what it was called.
Nice.
Yeah. Grew up with all sorts of VW. I'll call them antiques now.
I love how Brent focuses on his audience and how to best serve them with his content. Understanding that experimentation is key to growing as a creator, but also and connecting with this community at the same time. And if you're in the same boat where you're thinking, okay, how do I surface content that's valuable, but also grow the right community? We'd love to work with you and surround you with strategists here on the team. And if you want to take those next steps in working with a strategist, myself, Molly, or even Sam would love to work with you. And you can go do that on videocreators.com/consulting and book a 1-hour session there. And we'd love to hear a bit about your story and your problems and really help serve you and your journey on YouTube.
Hey guys, so I feel like probably the single most misunderstood thing about YouTube is actually how the algorithm surfaces content. So what are some of the misconceptions?
Yeah, I love this conversation with creators in consultations because it's always fun to hear their perspectives on what they know about it. And like the truth of it is like there's so much misconceptions from so many people saying so many things about the algorithm, how they view it when it comes to, liking the video will cause it to surface more or more comments. And I think that one of the biggest things is everyone treats it as one algorithm when really there's thousands and thousands and thousands of algorithms that are working to understand your content on the platform.
Yeah, I think too, definitely we get all the time creators who, and I mean, understandably, I totally get it, but it's almost as if the algorithm is kind of this like deity or this like being that, if Alfred, if he's happy that day, he's going to bless your channel. If you presented the right offerings, your channel is going to blow up, your video is going to get the views, and that it's kind of this completely random thing. Or that you need to find the right keywords and the right metadata and the kind of the right tact to, as long as you do this, this, and this, then that's going to make the algorithm happy, kind of thing, which is another big misconception. We see it all the time.
Yeah, I feel like people tiptoe around YouTube quite a bit, thinking that if they do one thing wrong, it's going to cause everything on their channel to just fall apart. And I try to encourage them, you can experiment. Your video is going to be judged individually. Don't have to worry about making one mistake and thinking, oh no, my whole channel's messed up now because of it, and YouTube, the algorithm's going to stop surfing my content, when that's not actually what it's trying to do.
Yeah, your channel's not that fragile, I promise you. I promise you can't break it. YouTube treats every single video as a new opportunity to make it on the platform. Like, it's rooting for you. Alfie is rooting for you because that's on a good day. Al was kind of like so-so, and Alfred on a bad day, but because we all have that relationship, even we do with Alfred.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree with you. It's about really thinking about the audience, right? It's always going to go back to that. Thinking about the audience, thinking about people and humans. The algorithm is really designed to think like a human. So, like you said, focusing on tags and keywords, that's really not going to be the thing that hacks the algorithm that day. But I'm curious, do you guys feel like YouTube favors bigger creators?
No.
Not at all. No.
Why do you say that?
Well, if every video has the same opportunity to go further, obviously if you're a big creator already and you already have all of these subscribers, you've been making content, the algorithm and YouTube has a good idea of who to surface your videos to. Of course, it's going to be quicker for your next video to go further. But at the same time, if you know exactly who you're making content for, and you can kind of nail some of the things we're going to actually talk about in this episode, nail some of these kind of key viewer signals that the algorithm is really looking for, it's not going to have any more favor over a bigger creator versus you. It's just going to take into account some of these signals and take all of the data and the feedback that it's getting from the viewers watching your content. And then from there, make those decisions as far as how far your content's going to go.
Yeah, you as the creator have every opportunity to be surfaced next to Mr. Beast on the homepage. That's not impossible. And it's just focusing on your audience. And yes, some of these people might have an easier opportunity to grow their video faster, to get more views, but they've also built that expectation or that trust with their audience, which is why that content does so much better faster.
Yeah, it's getting the feedback, right? It's that positive feedback loop and just getting those good signals and having that audience that's just like a rabid fan, and they're going to watch it from beginning to end. And so those are all those really powerful signals. So, but let's lean into like the search and discovery systems a little. It wasn't always like this, right? So if we're really looking around a little history lesson around the evolution of YouTube, way back in the day, it was a little bit more focused on keywords. And I think that's where some of the misconception comes in, right? Would you guys think that is an accurate statement?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that is where that's kind of led into where we're at today, maybe thinking in that same mindset. I think too, like Google very much works that way. And a lot of people are like, well, if I'm trying to rank on Google, I'm trying to rank on YouTube, that kind of thing. So I think there's a lot of similarities that happen there too. But, the more that, because it was just too easy to game the system. I think that's kind of the main reason that YouTube has gone more this direction as far as making more of a human approach versus this robotic approach of, well, as long as we do this, this, and this, and, more people like the video and that kind of thing, where people could easily just kind of game that system. They made some of these changes to make it more of a human focused approach.
Yeah. And those happened back in like 2012 was, I think, the very first biggest change away from keywords. And then again, I want to say in 2015, and then even later again, just tweak, because they did it too good a job and still needed to tweak the algorithms, and they're still tweaking them, and now we have shorts that have entered the mix. And so, shorts even has its own discoverability system, because that's a separate kind of, they're putting shorts directly in front of you, which is a little different than things just coming to the homepage. So there's a lot of things, and people, I think, are just changing in general. People's viewing habits have been changing like crazy over the last couple of years. And I feel like the algorithm is constantly trying to understand the viewers better and better. I think something that would probably be a practical lesson for everybody here would be to kind of think through viewer signals and what is it that, I'm going to call, I got to call him Alfie because today he's a good guy.
It's a good day.
So today, Alfie, what's like his goal, when he's watching me, because he really is. He's watching
creepy.
It is a little creepy, but he's watching everything I do and everything I don't do. So if you're thinking about this from a practical standpoint, we're really scrolling through the homepage, right? He's watching to see what I'm going to maybe stop on, pause, maybe hover over and let kind of like the autoplay play. And then maybe what am I just constantly skipping past? Because it's not just what you actually do and click. It's also the things that you don't do. That's all feedback. And then when you're in a video, what are your viewing patterns there? So do you play, just watch it? Do you like sit back and just watch it? You can't watch me sit back, although who knows? You never know.
Don't say that.
Nowadays. But watching what I do, how fast am I going through that video? Do I watch the entire time? Am I going back? Am I rewatching something? Is that super valuable? How deep do I get into the content? Am I getting in 80% deep or only 30% deep and then leaving? Am I abandoning? Or am I going to click on? It's watching every single little teeny tiny thing. So let's talk a little bit about, search versus actual just browse, browsing the platform. Guys, have any thoughts on the difference between the two?
I feel like
misconceptions for people.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people still these days too, again, leading into the keywords and tags, think they need to always rank and search all the time. And we're not saying that search is necessarily a bad source of traffic, just the viewing patterns of people are completely different in that sense too. So if I'm thinking from an audience perspective right now too, coming to YouTube to search something, a lot of times, and even encourage you as a creator to think about this, when you go searching for something, you're looking for information. You're going to find that. You're going to skip through the video a lot faster, probably. Find that information, solve your problem, move on. A lot of times, you may not even remember who the channel was, what the name of the channel was, what their story was about. You don't remember anything about the creator. The viewing patterns of that is a lot different, as opposed to when a creator is coming to browse. They're here to hang out. They're a lot more willing to sit through and learn and hear your story, listen to a full story. I mean, it sometimes can be a little bit more difficult, I find, in search content, even with a story, because people are just constantly wanting to jump through, and it's not uncommon to do that, and you can see that. Again, search isn't a bad source of traffic. It's just not the most valuable.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think a lot of people we work with, they get frustrated because they will come to us and they're like, I am trying to rank high on search and it's not really working. And how am I going to be seen? How are people going to find me? And I think it can be really frustrating as a creator when the mindset is, I got to do all these things to rank high on search and hope these people stick around. And maybe you get some videos that do rank high on search, but Blake, what you were just saying is even those viewers aren't really the most valuable viewers because they're kind of just looking for a solution to a problem. And then they're probably going to just be on their way. So I think there's this really big resistance that comes against kind of the algorithm. And I think it's actually one of those misconceptions of like we said at the beginning, the algorithm's trying to help you here. It's trying to get your content in front of the right people. And so if we're able to kind of take all of that stuff and just put it to the side and really just try to nail some of these signals, we're going to be more likely to let YouTube do the heavy lifting and do the work for us and put us on the homepage and some of those more valuable traffic sources, which is just going to help us in the long run.
Yeah. What I don't want a creator to hear is that search is bad. Search isn't bad.
Right. Yeah.
And if you're a how-to channel, search can be one of your best friends.
Yep.
It can be a great form of discoverability for you, to really get out there and be that dominant voice for whatever it is that you are making. But it is a slippery slope, I feel, a little bit also, which is kind of like what Sam was alluding to there. You need to be skillful in a sense of still being able to connect with your viewer.
Yeah.
If you're really going to be targeting search. But we find that targeting search, it will get you growth, but it'll only get you so far. If you truly want to have that explosive growth on the platform, you're going to find that in the two top forms of traffic for channels, and that is browse, features, and suggested traffic. So talk a little bit more about Google versus YouTube.
Yeah, well, I think of Google as very much strictly a search engine. All you see is Google, the logo right there, and then you see right below it just a box you can type into, and that's kind of it. And so it's very much like a ranking game for that. And I think for YouTube, immediately from the homepage, I think even the fact that it's my homepage is going to look very different from yours, Ingrid, which is going to look very different from Blake's. YouTube is very much a human first approach kind of thing where it's just trying to put the right content in front of you.
The right video
very different.
in front of the right person at the right time, right?
Right. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit, and I kind of alluded to this in a very, very quick way earlier, but I want to talk a little bit more in depth about YouTube and the business of YouTube. You guys have any strong thoughts here?
Yeah, I think YouTube, at the end of the day, is an ads business. They make money by servicing ads on your content, which is why tags and keywords was not the most beneficial in the past, because having the right tags and keywords gaming the system, producing the wrong content for the wrong viewer, cause people to leave the platform. And for YouTube, that's bad news, because at this point they can't service ads anymore and they start losing revenue, which is why it's okay. It makes more sense to look for those positive viewer signals, that viewer satisfaction, to help, because if people are enjoying the content and are staying on the platform longer, YouTube can now service more ads, which is what they want. That's how they make their money. So that's kind of really the end goal. And that's what we're trying to help YouTube do, is, get the right content for the right viewer at the right time, so that we can help the business grow.
Yeah. I feel like running through those 4 signals on a deeper level would be beneficial. So, and we've talked about it before, and I would love for us to even tie it to metrics a little for those geeky people in the audience, right? Perked Sam up there. Tie them to metrics so that you have a crystal clear understanding of the signals that Alfie's looking for today. Maybe that's Al. We'll go with Al right now. What's the first one?
Yeah, well, first one's it's helpful, I think, to also think of like the viewer journey when we're thinking through these viewer signals. So like, the title and thumbnail is going to be the first thing that the viewer can interact with, and the first thing that YouTube can really kind of gather data-wise from the viewer. So yeah, I'd say the title, thumbnail is the first thing. Are they enticed to click into your video? That's going to be the kind of the first signal that you can really send YouTube. And then I guess if we're talking metrics, if we're talking metrics, the exciting stuff here, that's going to be impressions, click-through rate, and views. I think actually looking at all 3 can be really helpful versus just zooming in on click-through rate. I think that's a question we get a lot. Like, but this is my click-through rate. It's really good. So that, I think you need to take it all into account.
So talk about that a little bit, because I feel like that's a huge misconception for YouTubers today is, hey, I have a lot of like new creators sometimes come into a consult with me, and, my click-through rate, is 8.9%. Why is my channel not growing?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think, so maybe an example is like, let's say that you have a channel and you're trying to grow, you're just having a hard time, and you mainly are serving the same content to the same people every time. It's mainly your subscribers engaging with the content, and then, it's frustrating. And then you come, talk to us, and it's like, yeah, but my click-through rate is really high. Like, a lot of people are clicking. Why is it not going further? And to me, that's where I would look at our impressions and be like, okay, are we so like niched into this particular area that we're not really reaching a broader audience at all? That's kind of my first question as far as like the topics of the video. What if we tried running some experiments, tried to go a little bit broader, more discoverable, maybe tap into some trending topics, some kind of more topical things going on in the world right now that fit your channel and your value proposition and your target audience and all that. Let's run some experiments and try that. And then let's look at your impressions and see, your click-through rate is probably going to go down. And that might be a good thing. If your impressions are going to go up, that means you're at least being surfaced to more people, which is the goal here. And just naturally, if that's going to go up, your click-through rate is going to fall naturally, just kind of based on how that works out. But that's one example, as far as we kind of need to look at the whole picture and not be so fixated on just the click-through rate.
Yeah. It's never one metric. That's what I tell my clients all the time. It's never one metric. There's always a story. There's always a story here. So what else about the click is it that we're really looking for?
I think one thing, especially when it comes to titles and thumbnails, I think this applies really well to how-to content quite a bit as well. Because we always say, trying to add that intrigue. And I think intrigue can also be, what is that benefit and reward for the viewer? Thinking of, again, knowing their language, what is it they really, really want? What is it that desire? What's that fear? What are they trying to avoid? And I use this as example a lot in consultations of, like, let's say I had a fitness niche and I know my audience is self-conscious looking in the mirror. I can make a video saying how to do push-ups, or I can say, feel more confident in the mirror by doing these push-ups. Now it's more specific to what is it they really, really want. And that's targeting your viewer at that point.
And you're still using the word push-ups, which is probably the keyword.
Yeah.
right? But it's used in a human way that actually is around a feeling and an emotion, and also clearly gives you the benefit, the reward for the viewer feeling more confident right at the front. That's how to craft an excellent title. Nice work, Blake.
Thank you. Do my best.
You should do this for a living. So let's talk a little bit about like the second viewer signal. What are we really looking for here?
Yeah, to me, this is just, thinking of the viewer journey. Okay, they clicked in. How are they watching the video? Like, I think of the retention graph. How much are they watching? Did we have an effective opening hook and then we hooked them in and now they're sticking around and they're watching the whole video? Did we lose them in the opening seconds? These are some of the questions that come into account next, because ideally, we present that strong value or that curiosity. We get them to click in and they're really intrigued. And then ideally they watch the whole video. The actual watching of the video is going to be the next signal.
Yeah, I feel like there's a little bit of work that a lot of creators can do here. And what I kind of challenge you to, and this is probably one of the things that we talk to creators a lot when we're doing consult or working with them one-on-one, is really cutting your content down a little as well, to really serve your audience better without giving them too much information. Don't be afraid to cut your darlings.
I know this is the question we get all the time. What is the ideal video length? How long should my content be?
Great question. What's the misconception here around video length? You bring up a new question.
A lot of times I get people say the longer the video, the better it's going to perform, because people are spending more time watching the video. I'm like, that's not always necessarily the case.
Yeah.
And why? Why would that be? Yeah.
If I have a 20-minute video and someone watches 10 minutes of it, yes, they're 10 minutes on YouTube, but from a video standpoint, they've watched 50% of the video, right? So it's not as satisfying to a viewer from YouTube's perspective, right? Plus, it's hard to get someone to sit through 20 minutes and want to stay on the platform longer and watch more content.
Yeah.
Especially if it's yours.
Now, he made that a little easy for all of you listening, because people listening are probably going, I would love to have 10 minutes of watch time on a video.
An exaggeration.
That was a very big exaggeration.
Yeah.
In reality, it's probably like 6 minutes or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because when you have, so let's talk about average percentage. So Sam, what are the metrics that are really tied here?
Yeah, I mean, APV, average percent viewed. That's a really good indicator of, what, I mean, exactly what it is, kind of self-explanatory, but yeah, how much of your content are people watching on average?
I'm going to ask the $1 million question here. What's the percentage that I need for my content?
I think it's the same answer. Yeah, it's the same answer as the ideal video length. I think, obviously you want higher. You want people to make it longer through your video, but I think and it's like you said earlier, Ingrid, like there's a story and all of these, there's so many different metrics. Like you can't just fixate on one thing and then make these huge sweeping decisions based on that. Because even with this example, it's like, well, the title thumbnail can affect your retention. That can affect your APV. Like a lot of these things work together. So I'd say, if I was to give advice as far as improving APV, compete against yourself. Work on some things that we know can help with retention. Good effective hooks, storytelling can be great. Even shortening your video potentially, if you're noticing tons of people are leaving, make the video as long as it needs to be, and then just look at your last video and then just make improvements from there and just compete against yourself. And if you're seeing that APV number go up, you're making progress.
And I really encourage you to, if you're not doing this, if you don't like spreadsheets, I'm sorry. I would like for you to learn to like Google Sheets, at least a little tiny bit. Because what I really want is I want you to take a couple screen captures of your retention graphs and just stack them on top of each other in a spreadsheet. You can put some of your key viewer signals in there as well, but I want you to start look at the pattern of the graphs. What's the visual story that you're seeing? Are they on a gradual decline from beginning to end? Are some flattening out? Is there some sort of a pattern? And then can you go back to those videos? Because it's really hard to really evaluate this when you're looking at just video level on one tab and then you're looking on another tab. It's kind of hard to see it. Sometimes you kind of need to see it stacked on top of each other. This is what we do with our clients. And then what's the story of what's going on recently? And how are we really engaging our audience better in hooks? Because you can visually see it on graphs really easily.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Like this is the kind of territory that makes me think of like athletes and how they'll watch game footage like after the match, and then they'll point out like, oh, I could have done this better. I could have done this better. And, I think there's a line where maybe it's maybe unhealthy with your analytics to just get like way, way too engrossed in them. But at the same time, I think it's really healthy to be a student of your, your analytics, and to go in and especially seeing it visually like that can be so helpful, because you might see a dip at the same point in every single video. And then you can look at that and be like, okay, what is happening here? And maybe you say, hey, subscribe to my channel and leave a like, and like you do that in every single video. And then that can be kind of an indicator of, oh, I'm losing people every time I do that. Maybe I can fix that for my next one.
Yeah, don't do that. No, but I think what you're saying is really valuable too. And it's a good exercise, I think, to go in like once a quarter or once every 6 months and do something like this. Because if you're doing it week to week, you're so close to your content. Super close to your content, and you cannot think straight. You're emotionally tied to it.
It kind of sucks the fun out of it too, right?
It really does. Yeah. But if you do it like, a more zoomed out perspective, or better yet, have somebody else. If you've got a business, this is one of those things that you can really give to somebody else to do. Grant them viewer access to your channel, and then have them do this and put it into a spreadsheet so that you can really, like Sam said, really dig in and look at it from a zoomed out perspective. So what else here?
I think when it comes to getting people to watch your content, I think, again, the biggest thing to help hold that retention is, are you telling a story in your content? Again, one of the most effective ways to hold someone's retention in a video is telling a story. Actually, I did experiment this on my channel one time too, just to test out storytelling. I made a video, and then just as an experiment, I would tell 3 stories throughout that video into different spots. Every single time I told a video, the graph flattened out, which showed me proof right there. Okay, yes, this does work. So on a larger scale, if you could do that for your entire video, that's one step closer to getting someone to make it to the end of your video and satisfying that viewer from YouTube's perspective.
I love it when Sam goes into like viewer graphs with a client, and he loves pointing out how flat they are. And every single time it's always around one thing. Right, Sam?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I feel like, because there's different types of storytelling. There's like story structure for your video, but I think there's also like primal branding, like little short anecdotes that you can tell. And every time it's super flat. I think both examples, like I feel like I tend to talk about the primal branding stories a lot in retention graphs and seeing how flat those can be. But even with the storytelling structure too, like I've noticed that touching on the obstacles, that is interesting to look into the analytics and see there's really good engagement. Those are really flat sections, because I think any good story really has tension and transformation. And usually those moments of tension and then the moments of transformation have the flattest sections too.
Totally. And I'm curious though, if we had like a good exercise for people, what would you suggest that creators do for themselves to become better students of all of this?
Oh, watch more content. I think if you're spending more time watching videos on YouTube and just looking for what the story is in the content that seems to be doing well, you can learn a lot from that. And sometimes, again, it can be the simplest thing, but I can notice, okay, I'll ask, I can't even enjoy a video anymore. I just sit and watch and analyze the video. I will sit there and think, okay, what is the hook? Okay, was that good? Okay, that was pretty good. Let's go on to the next portion. Okay, what's the story
Tim
here?
ruined it for you.
I know.
Ruined it
Really
for
Thanks a
you.
lot, Tim.
now. I do it on a movie basis too, which is kind of frustrating going to theater now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, being super analytical like that, you'll notice the patterns that seem to work. And sometimes you'll find ways, even again, watching outside of your niche, you'll find ways that will connect and make sense for your content and how to implement that into your videos.
Yeah, I was talking about this in a consultation with a creator this morning, just really kind of talking about how, just being a student, like you said, of it, and just not just even watching just YouTube videos, but like movies and TV, and just really even identifying, oh, that was a really great hook. Why not try something? What's the structure that they used? Nowadays we can rewind everything, literally. So nothing's really all very much live anymore. So how do you apply that then to your channel and experiment there and try things that are different? One of the things that I love to do is when I see something like that, I'm always so appreciative. I once was watching a Peter McKinnon video, and I think he was doing it on Lightroom or something. It was a tutorial. And he did something so cool. He flipped the hook with like diving right into the content. So he dove right into the content right away. And then the hook came afterward. I was so inspired. I went and shot a video and did it myself. And it was the highest retention I'd ever had. Ever. But it was just fun, So what is it that your favorite people are doing? And I'm not talking about just watching competitors. What are your favorite people on YouTube doing? That's in a niche that's not even like yours. His niche and my niche are not even remotely the same. But translate that somehow into something that you're doing to have some fun, inject some fun. What else? What other kinds of ideas do you have for the audience? The podience.
The podience. We haven't said the podience in a while.
The podience.
Yeah. I think maybe just to piggyback on that, I really like to think of these viewer signals when I am just on YouTube. Like when I click into a video, I'm like, why did I click into this?
Yeah.
If I left the video, why did I leave? If I watched several from the one creator, or like I went to their channel page to even check out some more content, like I really try to ask myself, why did I do that? What led me to do that? Kind of the same way you were just saying with that Peter McKinnon video, of maybe asking yourself, why was that so interesting to me? What did they do? And then to kind of emulate and try new experiments and try new things based on what your own viewing patterns are. That can also be really useful.
If I could take a zoomed out perspective for 1 second, just because I think of this too, something you might have said, like going back to the creators that you might enjoy and learn from, but like community content for your channel, building that right community, building the expectation, a lot of times that can help even just boost your retention. Because I feel like if I'm that dedicated to a creator, I'll just throw on the video and watch it regardless. Sometimes I don't even necessarily notice the story, but I'm there because of them, right? So that element of having community content in there, people will show up and watch your content regardless of what it is. They'll be more gracious if it wasn't the best video. I mean, like, for example, again, and it's probably way out of the spectrum because it's a bigger channel, but like Casey Neistat did the AI video, which was garbage, but people showed up and watched it because of, it's him and, the transformation at the end of it. But
And a trending topic, although he was late to the trend, I want to point out.
He was, yeah.
It's funny. I was just having this conversation with creators the other day, and that's, I think, the thing that was so interesting about that video is he was really late to the topic of AI, but he put his unique perspective on it.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a client about it yesterday, and that is what is so cool, is the fact that he still dove in, but he made it his own. So what's that unique thing that you can do when you're doing that? Because you'll always win. And he won with that one, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit about that last signal.
Yeah.
Well, not last, second to last. Second
I
to
was going to
last.
say we're missing one here.
Yeah, we're missing one
Not
here.
two. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
this viewer, again, thinking of the viewer journey, they watched your whole video, hopefully. So what do? When they get to the end of your video? I think ideally they are going to watch more of your content. And I think this is why we talk so much about that in-screen call to action, just giving one call to action to go watch another video, because the easier you can make it to extend the viewing session and watch more content. Like, it's like what you were saying at the beginning, like YouTube is an ads business. Like, it's trying to keep people on YouTube longer. So if you can effectively get somebody to watch more of your content, that's a really positive viewer signal.
Yeah, which is why shorter content can be beneficial sometimes as well too, because I can get someone to watch 5-6 5-minute videos. It's really hard to get someone to watch 5-6 20-minute videos. That's a bigger investment, right? Especially for a first-time viewer standpoint who has no idea who you are, hasn't got any value from you yet, you don't have a reputation yet. I'm much more willing to invest a small amount of time than that larger amount of time into multiple videos.
That's an interesting statement, Blake. So what I don't want people to hear is just make short content.
No, okay, yeah.
Right? What I heard was experiment with length. That's what I heard in what you were saying. And I think you're 100% right. I feel like if you've been making, and I think the thing that it's sorry guys, but it's a pet peeve of mine. When I go into a video and I see 802 on a channel, 802, 807, 832, what is it that viewers there? Right. I understand that you all want mid rolls, but if the video topic, the idea, the video that you shot is not valuable enough to get there, you're going to end up having loss, and you could end up shooting yourself more in the foot than actually helping yourself. Mm-hmm. So, right? Video needs to be as long as it needs to be. Yeah. There's no set length. So I'm curious though, let's talk a little bit more about call to action. So did we actually talk about the metrics that are tied to that?
I don't think so.
I don't think we did.
There are metrics though.
Of course there are. There are always metrics. Yeah, there's always metrics. What are we really shooting for, Sam?
Yeah, so you can look at your in-screen activity in the YouTube studio. So the ones that I like to look at are the in-screen elements shown. So that's basically for the viewers who made it to the end of your video, how many in-screen elements were shown. And so it matters because there are sometimes you put lots of elements there. Sometimes it's like, well, let me put a subscribe badge and let me put this video and then this video. And so sometimes you find yourself with, okay, well, there's tons of in-screen elements shown, but is anybody actually clicking on any of these things? And so that's where the clicks per in-screen elements shown, which is totally a mouthful. I'm going to say it again.
It is.
Clicks per in-screen element shown. Looking at those two together can be really helpful, but especially the clicks is a really good indicator of, is this an effective call to action or not? Am I effectively getting people to engage with my end screen? And so sometimes it's even better just to have one element instead of giving your viewer a decision at the end of your video. You want to make it as simple as possible. Like, let's just put one video there. We're going to plan it out ahead of time, what that video is going to be. And then you can measure, okay, how many people actually clicked that element that we showed there.
Yeah. And I think that, for those of you that are putting multiple end screen elements on your videos there in that end screen, I feel like it just said end screen an awful lot. Yeah. For those of you that are doing that, your number's going to be really small because YouTube divides that, right? So if you really want to see the actual number that you're getting, because I guarantee you, if you're effective at this, at extending the watch session, giving a viewer a deep why to click that next thing, you're going to go in YouTube Studio, you're going to actually go onto the advanced tab, and you're going to click more at the top, there's like a menu at the top, and you're going to click more, and then you're going to select end screen elements shown, right? I don't even know if I got that right.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. You lost me at menu because I started thinking about like a dinner menu because I'm hungry.
Oh, good Lord.
But I think that was right.
Yeah. And then it will pull up actually all your end screen elements broken out. And so at the top, you will actually see the videos that you have there, and you'll see that number a lot of times because, for instance, I just saw it yesterday on a report, a creator who'd been working really hard on actually bettering her call to actions, and the report showed 2%. But we knew it was higher. So when we went in there and we started looking, it was really more like 7 to I think 12 or 14%. But you wouldn't know that if you didn't dig into the analytics a little bit deeper, right? Okay. So what's our purpose? We're looking to extend the watch session here, right? Anybody have a practical tip for somebody here?
Yeah, I mean, the reason this is effective is I challenge you as a creator, pick your favorite channel. Let's say you watch 10 of their videos, 15 of their videos. What are you likely going to see on your homepage the next day? Likely going to be more of their content, and that's exactly what YouTube is looking for. Okay, this is now, and that's what we're trying to do. That's why we're trying to get people to watch more of our content, to show YouTube, hey, I'm not always my content engaging, but it's keeping people on the platform longer. These videos are now valuable to hold someone's attention. And now understanding those viewing patterns of that person, who our target audience is, that helps YouTube to figure out who else might enjoy this content as well.
Yeah, and if you make two videos aligned with each other, it's also kind of like language, you know? YouTube understands who the audience is, the audience for this one. If it figures out the audience on the first one, it's going to figure out the audience on the second. And that's just another opportunity for that video to end up in the suggested feed, back on the homepage. There's just more opportunity because, again, YouTube is your friend. Right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, because we were talking about all the keywords and ranking on search and all this stuff earlier, which again, it's like, it's not bad, but if we could just let YouTube do the heavy lifting, which is exactly what we're talking about, it's so much less frustrating as a creator. Yeah. And that's kind of what it's trying to help. Like, it's trying to do these things. So if we can just make it easier, we're going to definitely see more success.
Now, there is a fourth signal. And it does have metrics tied to it, kind of, a little bit. I'm going to let Sam reveal those because they're his favorite metrics. Yep. Some of them. What does that look like, Sam?
Yeah, so the last viewer signal is viewer satisfaction. So that is a little harder to kind of quantify. You know, they do have like little surveys. You've probably seen them. That will ask you, like, did you like this video? And you can rank it, 1 to 5 stars. So that is one way to kind of quantify it. But you can look at your new and returning viewers in your YouTube studio. And that is actually a really good way to see, especially with the returning viewers, are viewers returning to my content? Because we're talking about extending the watch session, like that's all great and it's really, really helpful stuff. But, kind of taking into account, again, the viewer journey, it's like, okay, maybe this person watched a couple of your videos and then, got to go to work now. And kind of they go about their day. And then the next day they jump onto YouTube. You're right there waiting for them on the homepage, ideally. And if they start watching your content again, you are a returning viewer, and that's telling YouTube, like, this person is satisfied with your content because they're continuing to watch you. That is a really powerful viewer signal as well.
It's probably one of the strongest. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of ways to measure it, and I wish we had access to those surveys. But truly, by creating effective titles, creating thumbnails, and calls to actions that encourage viewers to stay on the platform, you have every chance of your video being surfaced by the search and discovery systems, being recommended. Alfie is going to be your friend that day.
If there's anything I would add to, I think, I don't know about you guys, but when we talk about extending the watch session, there's like a small part of me that we're not trying to recommend you to just like, kind of like oh, I got you. I got you to click into the next one. And it's not so much about the person you're serving, but it's all about just keeping them longer kind of a thing, which really isn't the mindset that we want to have. And I actually do think that last viewer signal, the viewer satisfaction, is something that I really try to keep on the forefront of my mind for all of this, for the title and the thumbnail, the actual video structure itself, the call to action at the end. Like, I can think of myself when I'm watching my favorite creators, when I first discovered them for the first time. And, usually YouTube surfaced them on my homepage because it knows me and it's creepy, but they knew I probably would like this creator. And so I watched one video and it was like, this is great. And so the times where you just make it easier for your viewer to watch another one, it's even better because it just helps them watch more of your content, and you're almost doing them a favor versus kind of like, holding them captive, like getting them to watch another video kind of a thing.
I love that you're talking about the relationship that you're having with the viewer, because I feel the same with a lot of the viewers that I love to watch. And I almost don't want the videos to end, and I'm usually disappointed when they do. And so many of the people that I watch, some of them do and some don't. Some do effective call to actions and some don't. And I wish some of them did, because if they had a place for me to go at the end of those videos where I am like wanting more, I know I would click. And that's a missed opportunity. And that's what I don't want you to miss out on. So really focus in on these viewer signals, because they really are important. And the more you hone this skill and the more effective you are at connecting with your audience and really taking them on a satisfying journey, the more your content is going to be surfaced, and the more Alfie will be a good buddy for you that day.
Every week, we love to leave you with a power tip, something to consider when on YouTube, and the changes that YouTube are making as they're constantly improving their product. And this week, I want to talk a little bit about copyright claims on Shorts content. So a lot of you might have noticed copyright claims on your content as you're using music on the platform. YouTube systems are constantly scanning all your content and will likely detect music and mark it with a copyright claim if it deems so. If you're in the partner program, though, copyright claims do not affect Shorts revenue. So you can use YouTube's audio picker, or you can upload Shorts with your own music as well. Thanks for listening to another Video Creators Podcast episode. See you next week. Bye.